Hello comparison test viewers, and welcome back to another All Cars Everyday video. You guys voted in the community tab on what comparison test you wanted to see, so here I am standing again with the 2020 Honda Pilot. Today I'm going to be comparing it to its corporate cousin, the 2019 Honda Passport. The Pilot and Passport look very similar, and buyers are a little bit confused on what each model has to offer. So today I'm going to be taking a look at both SUVs and seeing what the differences are. This is the 2019 Honda Passport, which was brand new for the 2019 model year. And as you can tell, it looks pretty similar to the Pilot. I'm going to pick apart the differences between the two SUVs in 7 different categories and point out the advantages and disadvantages of each model. Furthermore, I'm comparing these SUVs at the $40,000 price point, which means I'm comparing them both at the touring price level to keep the comparison as level as possible. The only option I'm adding to both SUVs is the all-wheel drive system, as most SUV buyers tend to want that. With that out of the way, let's look at our first category, which is functionality. I usually save this category for the end of my comparison videos, but this category is where the Pilot and Passport are the most different. So let's take a look here first. The Pilot can seat either 7 or 8 people depending on if you choose the Touring or Touring 7 trim, which substitutes the second row bench for 2 captain's chairs. For this comparison, I'm going to keep the second row bench, as I feel like that's one of the huge differences between the SUVs. The Passport seats a maximum of 5, with 2 rows in the vehicle to the Pilot's 3 rows and 8 potential passengers. They ride on the same 111-inch wheelbase, but the Passport is nearly 6 inches shorter in length than the Pilot. It's designed more for style and off-roading ability, but if you're buying a Passport for its off-roading capability, you're looking at the wrong manufacturer. The Passport does have a higher ground clearance and better approach and departure angles, but can tow the same 5,000 pounds as the Pilot can. The Pilot has 15 cup holders to the Passport's 11. Both rear rows in the SUVs fold in a 60-40 split, and the second row in the Pilot folds flat. Behind the Pilot's third row, there are 16.5 cubic feet of space to store your stuff, which expands to 46.8 with that row down. Behind the first row, though, you get a maximum of 83.8 cubes. In the Passport, you get a maximum of 77.7, and then 41.2 behind the rear row. If you haven't caught my drift yet, the Pilot is designed more for families who need the extra seating and storage abilities, and the Passport is for empty nesters who don't need all the room and prefer the smaller dimensions and any marginal increase in the ability to take it off the beaten trail. That said, the Passport doesn't sacrifice too much cargo space in the long run compared to the Pilot, which leads me to believe that you would choose the Pilot over the Passport solely for the extra seating capability. I will admit that the rear row in the Pilot felt good on space for my head, but was lacking on leg space. Probably best to keep the kids back there. Each has its own advantages and weaknesses, but I think that between these two, the Pilot offers nearly the exact capability and then some the Passport has, because owners of these two will rarely be taking them off the pavement. And to call the Passport capable off-road would be doing Jeep, Toyota, Land Rover, Mercedes-Benz, and others a huge disservice. That said, if the kids are non-existent or living away from home, I doubt it would make more sense for you to spend more money on the Pilot. Speaking of spending, let's now turn to the value per dollar category. The 2020 Honda Pilot Touring all-wheel drive is $44,620. LED brake lights, fog lights, DRLs, and headlights are standard on this trim, as is the hands-free power tailgate and programmable remote entry. The Pilot also has smart entry with walk-away auto lock, where the driver can walk away from the Pilot and it will lock when the driver leaves a certain radius from the vehicle. The side mirrors are heated with reverse gear tilt down, and the Pilot rides on massive 20-inch wheels. On the interior, the Pilot has push button and remote start, a sunroof, tri-zone automatic climate control, and an auto-dimming rearview mirror. The seats are all leather and the first 2 rows are heated. Also, the driver's seat is power adjustable 10 ways and the passenger gets 4 ways of power adjustment. The touchscreen of the Honda is 8 inches and comes with Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, Bluetooth, Sirius XM, Wi-Fi, and an in-car PA system. Voice-activated navigation is standard on the Pilot, and unlike the Passport, it has a 10.2-inch screen in the back for the kids to watch Blu-ray or another input from a device. The audio system in the Touring trim is a 590-watt unit with 10 speakers, including the sub. Standard on the Pilot is Honda Link, which allows owners to start, lock, unlock, and check vehicle location and diagnostics through an app on their smartphone. Finally, the Pilot also has cabin control, where rear seat passengers can send navigation directions, music suggestions, and more from their smartphone. The Passport Touring all-wheel drive has a lower MSRP of $41,180, but it comes with the exact same exterior features as the Pilot, including LED lighting and the same size wheels at 20 inches, though they are a different design than the Pilot's. Also included are the hands-free tailgate and walk-away auto-lock. Both SUVs also have roof-mounted side rails. Inside, the features mimic the Pilot as well, with a full leather interior and a 10-way power-adjustable driver's seat with lumbar support, as well as 4 ways for the passenger. Like the Pilot, the rear seats are also heated. Technology mirrors the other SUV, with an 8-inch screen in the center console and the same apps and features, including the cabin control communication system and Honda Link. Navigation with voice recognition and HD digital traffic also find its way into the Passport, as does a similar 540-watt audio system with 10 speakers and a subwoofer. Convenience features include push-button start, a tri-zone automatic climate control system, express windows up front, and an auto-dimming rearview mirror. Places to plug in are good in the Passport too, with a 115-volt power outlet, 3 USB ports, and 3 traditional 12-volt outlets. As you can see, the only true functional feature that's different between the two SUVs is the rear seat entertainment system. Every other feature is either aesthetically different or identical in the SUVs, but since the Passport is significantly cheaper, we'll give it the advantage in this category. I don't think the rear entertainment feature alone is worth over $3,000. In this category, I look at the active safety technology of the Hondas and the passive IIHS ratings as well. For active safety technology, both the Passport and Pilot have the same features. They include a collision mitigation braking system, road departure mitigation, forward collision warning, lane departure warning, blind spot monitoring with cross traffic alert, automatic high beams, adaptive cruise control, and lane keeping assist. As far as what's included standard on other SUVs in this class, this is a very healthy variety, as lots of new vehicles miss the adaptive cruise control and blind spot monitoring as standard features. I've noticed that Honda is nearly at the top of the game when it comes to including this technology standard, so buyers of either Honda will sleep easy at night knowing their SUV is probably the best equipped out there this side of a Tesla Model X. Not only that, but both the Passport and Pilot are top safety picks according to the IIHS, and they are rated good in every segment they test except headlights, passenger overlap, and the ease of use for the child seat anchors. All of these segments were downgraded only to acceptable in the Pilot, but the headlights in the Passport had a range from poor to acceptable. Regardless, both SUVs excelled in this category too. They are very nearly identical though, so they will be called equal here. The Pilot and Passport use the same engine as well, which is Honda's classic 3.5-liter V6. In these SUVs, it makes 280 horsepower and 262 pound-feet of torque. Though an old engine, the new 9-speed automatic transmission makes sure to keep the mill in its prime power band. The all-wheel drive system in the Pilot is a $2,000 option that I added to the sticker price, but is a $1,900 option in the 2019 Passport. It performs the same functions in both SUVs and is not a lockable four-wheel drive system, which is why I emphasize that the Passport merely looks the off-roading part. It's designed more for snow like most all-wheel drive systems are, however, it does have drive modes for sand, snow, and mud. As is to be expected, both vehicles perform about the same in terms of acceleration, with the Passport beating the Pilot in a 0 to 60 test by 1/10 of a second at 6.2 seconds. They're equal here again, so there isn't an advantage to one vehicle over the other. The Pilot is rated at 19 in the city and 26 on the highway for a combined 22 miles per gallon. Strangely, the lighter Passport is rated at 19 and 24 for a combined 21. Advantage here goes to the Pilot. I get this statistic from Consumer Reports, which uses historical data to interpret new car reliability. They rate each car on a scale from much worse than average to much better than average, with average of course falling in the middle. Predictably, both Hondas score the same rating of average. Evidently, they're equal here too. This is the last portion of the objective part of the comparison, so if you're not interested in seeing my thoughts on the design of the two SUVs, feel free to stop the video here. Based on the functionality of both SUVs, you can probably pick which one is best for you. If not, watch on to see a light design analysis. This is the last category I evaluate, and it's totally subjective. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. That said, there are minimal differences between these two models stylistically. In fact, the interiors are so similar I couldn't even pick out any differences. That said, this homogeneous interior tends to be toward the top of the SUV class, and though I prefer the look of the button gear selector, many of my viewers have questioned its practicality versus a traditional shifter. And I'll admit, it's harder to use at first and doesn't feel as sure of itself as a traditional shifter does. I prefer the tougher exterior styling of the Passport, with black body cladding and other black trim pieces standard, like the grille. Between the truly higher ground clearance, better approach and departure angles, and trim pieces that act like they're designed for desert runs, the Passport looks the part of an SUV, even if it's all in act. I think the side profile of the Pilot at least utilizes the longer wheelbase better, and I prefer the back of the Pilot better because the taillights are more fully baked to me and accentuate the width of the vehicle better. If styling is a big buying factor for you, it's time to decide whether you want to look more adventurous and freer or more responsible. The Passport appeals more to the former, while the Pilot takes up the latter. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to drop it a like. Also, don't forget to head on over to my channel's community tab to vote on future comparison tests that you would like to see. I've got a lot in the works, but if you have a specific video request, you can comment here or in the community tab. Otherwise, thank you for watching.